All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. I hope your year is going well so far. If it's like here, it's snowing and cold outside, so personally, I don't enjoy the cold weather very much. So, what better time to build a new pedal board? So, come on, let's go check it out. Okay, the board that we are using for this build is the Pedal Train Metro 16. The heart of the pedal board is going to be the PZ Deluxe by Radial Engineering, and to power that we're using the Stagebug 9 to 15 volt converter and buffer. Our tuner is going to be the Diodario or Planet Waves pedal tuner. Has a giant LED screen that we can see everything really clearly, and it works very well. We're going to be using two TC Electronic pedals, the Flashback 2 and Hall of Fame 2 mini pedals. We're also going to be using this Moore Graphic G. It is a 5-band graphic EQ. Up next we have the JHS AB switcher, and that will allow us to use two instruments at one time. And lastly we have the LR Bags Active DI from their Align series. And to power this whole board we're actually just using the MXR Mini ISO brick. Okay, so the guitar you're going to hear in this demo is my trusty Martin. It's a Sapele back and sides with a Sitka spruce top, all solid, and the pickup system in it is an LR Baggs Anthem SL. So it has the blend of the undersaddle and the microphone inside of it as well. So there will be, it's one source, but it's a blend of those two signals. So you're not just going to hear one or the other. It's blended already. So let's go to an aerial view and we'll be able to see this a little easier. Now running through the chain. Okay, so the first thing we hit in our signal chain here is this JHS AB box. All this is a passive direct box that allows me to either plug in two inputs and have one output that is switchable, which is why the pedal's upside down, or we can have one input and two outputs, so it runs both ways. And the power is only controlling this little LED. So if we're in the bottom, I'm going to call it input, or if the pedal's upside down, it's the top one like this. That's the red LED, or if we switch it down to the blue, that is the bottom input here, or the other input. So all that allows us to do is use two instruments for this this board. So from the switcher here, or the AB box, we're going straight into the PZ Deluxe. So this is kind of the heart of the pedal board here as far as the tone goes. If you don't know radial engineering, they make fantastic preamp pedals and also kinds of switchers and all kinds of stuff too, but they make fantastic pedals, and this one is built like a tank. I've had it for a few years now. I think they have a new model of it out now too, but so we're going straight into the input here, and we have, I'll kind of go from bottom to top. We have a boost switch, and then we also have a mute. So both of those are very functional with this pedal, but especially the boost. If I need to take a solo or something, I can hit that, or if I'm using a second instrument that doesn't have quite the volume that the first instrument does, I can hit that boost and get a little bit of a volume jump. This little black square here, these two are for the direct out. I'll come back to that in just a second. So we have a ground lift and the phase switch. Then we have a phase switch for the main output here, or the they call it an amp out, but the 1/4 inch out. And then we have a filter, which is a low cut. So we can go from either being all the way up, which is flat, to a mild low cut or an extreme low cut. Then we have a 3-band EQ and a master level control. And the mid EQ here has a frequency knob as well. So they're parametric EQs, and it's a very, very powerful EQ. I'm going to come back to this DI here in a few minutes, but powering this, one thing I want to say too, this is a 15 watt pedal, so these are kind of weird to power sometimes. So that's why we have this little converter here. This is the Stagebug SB15 tailbone. What it is a 9 volt, to 15 volt converter, but it also has a buffer in it as well. So for this board, we're using both. So the main output here is going straight into the Stagebug, and we're using the buffer, and the buffer is going to buffer or boost the signal for the rest of the chain, or kind of get it to where the tone doesn't get sucked down too much. We're also going to use the tuner out that's in this radial and go straight into the tuner, so we have silent tuning if we want it. So if I turn that on, we have this nice big LED display. Get that B string up in tune there. And it works really well, and there's no noise or anything like that added from it. So you can keep that on if you want to, or you can turn it off, whatever you want to do. I'm going to turn it off right now just so it's not distracting. But so again, our signal is going from the AV box into the tone bone, or the radial, and then we're going from the PZ Deluxe. We're going from that into the tailbone buffer, and then from the buffer we're going into this little more Graphic G EQ. What this is a 6-band graphic EQ, and the reason why this is here is for two reasons. One, we can either EQ for the room that we're in, or, well, I guess 3 reasons. EQ for the room that we're in, 2, EQ a different instrument, or 3, add this extra EQ to kind of master the EQ we get from the tone bone. So it just adds a few more options there. The one bad thing about this pedal, it's true bypass, which is good, but the bad thing is it pops really loud whenever you turn it on. So you might want to activate your mute switch whenever you turn this pedal on. So that's just one thing to watch out for. That's unfortunately the bad thing about true bypass pedals, is there's always a little pop. Or at least in my experience with them, there are. But continuing down the chain, we're going from the EQ into the TC Electronic Flashback 2 Mini. And this is set with a Echoplex, kind of Memory Man-esque. And this is set with a Echoplex kind of tape delay. And this also has the mash feature to mess with the settings on it. We'll demonstrate that here in a minute. But from the delay, we're going straight into the Hall of Fame 2 Mini. And this is set for a plate reverb. And then again, we can use the mash function to extend that reverb out and get some really big washy sounds if we need it. And then from there, the last thing we're going into is this LR Baggs Active DI with their Line series. So going back to the DIs, we have 2 DIs out. So this has a 1/4 inch out on this side, and then it also has a XLR out on the top. The reason why there's 2 is this one can be used as a pre-effects out if I want to do that. So my signal would just go from the AB box to the tone bone and then just straight out to the front of house or wherever we're going. Or if I want to use all of my effects, we can go out here. So we can, with that, either run it mono as we're doing in this situation, or we could do like a wet dry rig or all kinds of different options. And then again, we have if I'm using an amp, we have the 1/4 inch out, or if I'm going straight into the front of house or a speaker or something like that, we can go the XLR out. But this also has a pad, either off -10 or -20 dB pad, your ground lift, and then your out, either through or straight out, and then the phase switch. So we get a few more options there. But we also have a second mute switch. So if we're going straight out through the radial, our mute would be there. Or if we're using anything else in the chain, our mute was here. So we have 2 mutes. Okay, so let's see what this kind of sounds like. So this is with everything bypassed. So what you're hearing is the guitar straight into the radial, through the tailbone, and then everything else is bypassed. So with the EQ on the PZ Deluxe up here, we're taking a little bit of the low end out, and we're using the mild filter for the low cut. Taking just a touch of the mids out, just to clean it up a little bit, the low mids here, and then boosting the high just a touch. If we add in this second EQ, this is what it will sound like. So again, just the tone bone. And then with the EQ. So the way that I have the EQ set right now is the low. I should mention the EQ ranges as well. So our first fader here is 100 hertz. That one's at 0. It's still flat. Then we're taking a little bit of 250 out, which is the second fader. The third fader here is 630 hertz, and we're boosting that ever so slightly. And the fourth fader is 1.6K, and we're taking quite a bit of that one out. And then the last one is 4K, and that one is also flat. And then also with this little LED, that's actually a knob, so you have a level control up there. So we're boosting the level back to where it's pretty much unity gain, or the same volume as without it. So in this case, we're just using it as a filter to kind of clean the guitar up a little bit more. So in this case, this would just stay on all the time, so that popping noise that I mentioned earlier wouldn't really matter too much. I'm going to edit that pop out because it's pretty loud. So continuing on from there, we're going into our Flashback 2 Mini. So this is what it sounds like. So I'll turn the volume up just a little bit. So you'll hear it's kind of like a squirrely modulated tape sound. I'm going to turn it up a little bit more. But then with the second series of these TC electronic pedals, we have this mash function. So if I play a chord, when I push down on the toggle switch here and just hold it down, it has all kinds of really cool effects that you can do. So in this case, it messes with the delay time and all kinds of warble effects and stuff. But there's all kinds of stuff you can set that for in the computer or your phone app if you want to do that. I did it through the computer. I find it easier that way. We'll turn this back off, and we're going to go over to the Hall of Fame 2. So again, this is just a plate reverb. I'll turn it up just a little bit. So it's not anything too out of the ordinary there, just a really nice clean plate sound. But just like my Helix stuff, when I route things through the Helix, I try to keep the delay and the reverb present but out of the way at the same time. So when we mash this button, we get this sound. So it just kind of extends that reverb trail and creates all kinds of nice ambient stuff. And then we can always blend those two, so blend it together with the delay and the reverb. And that's it. So thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a great evening. See you around.